Now, Scarlett, you're wondering if elephants swim to cool down or to get clean. I don't think unless you're something like a lion or an impala that has, hair is what I'm getting to, covering your body, and lots of it. Of course, elephants do have hair, but it's just fine, and there's not much of it on their bodies. Then possibly yes to get clean. However, elephants will love to swim to cool down. I mean, they typically are covering themselves with dust and mud every single day. They don't really worry about having a clean coat, because having a clean coat means that there's nothing there to protect you from the sun, and also there's nothing to protect the insects, the biting flies. So they constantly keep themselves dirty, if you will, but they don't know any different. And you can see he's just got fine dust on himself at the moment. So he's obviously doesn't actually look like he's had a mud bath, well, a serious mud bath. A few stains and darker patches on his legs, but that could just be from crossing the Mara River. It looks like he's come out from the forest, so maybe he crossed it around cul-de-sac or one of these other points a little bit earlier today. And now he's just quite happily just feeding along the road and doing his thing. He's very cool, eating very, very sludgy grass. Oh, he snipped it. He didn't like those end bits that are full of mud. I don't blame him, and he's just dropping that as he goes along. Anyways, let's jump back on board the Lion Man's car and see if he's got any more cats to show you.
Here's everybody, and look at this. She's getting into that thick stuff. That Topi doesn't know that she's coming. We might have a bit of a hunt on our hands here. She's now within, I would say, about 150 meters. So we're getting right into that red zone now, and she's got more cover where she is. Unfortunately, that Topi is facing in her direction, so if he lifts his head up when she's reasonably close, he's going to spot her. But she's getting in nice and close now, and the Topi's walking towards her. This could get interesting, folks. He's turned around. She's getting in right nice and close, and that Topi has turned his back to her. Now's her chance. But she'll know that she needs to be patient. She needs to get in a little bit closer. But she's really close now. Alright. So this is getting really close in now, in with the hunt. She's got a really good chance here. So welcome everybody, and for those of you that haven't seen what's happened up until this point, we've been watching this lion for quite a while, and she's been stalking this Topi that now has turned and started walking a little bit away from her, but she's still within about 100 meters, and we're hoping that we're going to witness a hunt here. But unfortunately that Topi is starting to drift away, but he has been going up onto little raised areas and looking around, trying to spot. So she's losing a bit of ground on him now, but still very concentrated in on the animal. So we've still got a very good chance that she might attempt a hunt. There is a young male nearby that is quite fat, and probably this female, what we think is that she's probably made a few kills, maybe some of the smaller animals like warthog, and the male's come in and flattened it. So she's probably still quite hungry, and she is very fixated on this Topi. And there she goes. She really needs to play this safe. If she's to stand any chance of getting this Topi, she needs to get in really close before she makes the final chase, because Topi are seriously fast, and if she doesn't get in nice and close, she won't stand a chance. Fascinating to watch. There she goes again. Topi's head is down. Now, Lucy, thanks for your comment, saying how exciting is this? Well, it is very exciting, and let's hope that this female holds her nerve and she gets in nice and close. It'll be the first time that I've ever seen lions hunting topi. It's, I think, down to the fact that topi are so quick that they don't generally stand a chance. But if she gets in nice and close here, she'll have a good chance. Now, Joe, you're commenting that you love how low they get. Yes, well, they call it a leopard crawl, but sometimes I would say that you could also call it a lion crawl, because they can make themselves so flat to the ground. There, she's dropped herself down again. She keeps on gaining some ground on this topi and then flattening herself. Almost impossible for that topi to be able to see her. And unless the wind blows in that topi's direction, he's not going to know any better. So he's facing the other way and his head is down. He's starting to feed a bit. There she goes. There she goes. She's making good ground on him. Oh, there she goes down again. Now, Tamara, you're wondering if she's upwind from the topi. She is slightly upwind, yes. The wind is blowing from her, but it's blowing a little bit across. So there is a chance that this topi could pick up on her smell if the wind swirls a little bit, or if it gusts. So at any moment, if that head shoots up and he turns around, you'll know that he's picked up on her smell. But for now, look at that. Starting to come into frame now. She's really in with a chance, and he doesn't know any better. You can see that. He's continuing with normal feeding and grooming behavior. So he doesn't know anything about this lion. Priscilla, you're wondering why this topi is alone. It's most likely a male, and there she goes. So most likely a male, because the males often hang on their own a little bit, and they do like to have a small territory, which then they'll try and lure some females into, or keep them in there. And then the females move with the youngsters. They move sort of randomly, but the males will keep a bit of an area. So this is most likely a male on his own, and you'll see topi very often going on top of raised areas, little termite mounds, looking out for predators, and also groups of females and other males that they can go and chase off. So you see these dotted topi all standing on termite mounds like sentries. This female very focused on this hunt. Now, Jenny, you're commenting that those termite mounds are perfect cover. Yes, they are. They're perfect spots for the topi to stand up and look out on, but they're also brilliant cover for this lion in this hunt that is unfolding at the moment. Now, it's taking a bit of time, but she's being very patient, as are we, sitting here waiting and watching this all unfold. Will it happen? Will this female be able to get in close enough for her to be able to make the final chase? And that's what we're going to have to wait and see. It might happen, it might not. Kimberly, you're wondering where is the rest of her pride? Well, I'm not quite sure which pride this female belongs to, but not too far from here we did spot what we think is the marsh breakaway pride, and but I did think when I saw her walking along that she's potentially suckling young, because it looks like she's lactating. So she may be one of the females from the marsh breakaway that's got the very young cubs. And sometimes they go off on their own with the cubs at the den, and they can also go and hunt a little bit on their own as well. And there is a young male nearby, but I think he's been more of a pain than anything because he hasn't been helping with the hunting, and he also potentially has been stealing food from her, so, which is very often what they do. Look at that. If you didn't know that she was there, you wouldn't see her. Now, Aunt Bar, you're saying how this is amazing. I totally agree with you. But look, folks, very often we can be disappointed at the end of this, but we've just got to stay here and wait it out. As she's doing, we just need to be as patient as she is. And sorry for the little bumps on the camera there. It's right on the end of our zoom. We don't want to shift position. We don't want to change this scenario and alert this topi is actually sometimes even walking in her direction without knowing it. So we just don't want to disturb anything here, because even if we drive towards this topi, it might look towards us and we change the whole situation and how things turn out. So we'll rather just sit here from a distance, and if she gets in and possibly makes the kill, then we'll make our way and get a bit closer. But for now, we do have a perfect view, even though it is quite far. But the anticipation is immense. Now, Cindy, you're wondering how close that lion needs to be so that she can outrun it. Well, I would say within about 30 meters. And I think now she's that topi is picked up on something, getting a little bit jumpy, potentially got a bit of a whiff of this lion. See how it's getting a little bit nervous? So it has picked up on something, but now it's turned the opposite way. Maybe because the wind is swirling, it thinks it's got the smell from the other side. It's almost her chance to get in a bit closer, but she's probably going to wait a little bit because of that jumpiness of the topi. She maybe just wait until it relaxes a little bit again before she starts going in. So I think she's within about 50 meters, so she needs to gain at least another 20 meters or so before she makes her final chase. Now, Marcy, you're wondering if this is an older topi and what makes the lion choose this one. I think it was pretty much by chance, because we spotted this female just walking along the plain, and then she eyed up this topi which was literally just near her, and then she singled it out. Now, I'm not sure if that might be the end game, because this female's almost relaxed a little bit, almost as if the game is up and the topi has spotted her. Sometimes they do that as well, almost just lie there and pretend like they're not going to be going for the topi, but I think that topi spotted her. So this might be the end game for the female, because you see now how she's looking in the opposite direction, almost pretending like, yeah, I know you're there, but I'm not doing anything, to try and put the topi off and make it think that it can also just relax, because I think this topi has now got her, and I think it's down to the wind. I think it must have smelled her. Unfortunately, she was moving with the wind, and eventually a little bit of a breeze went towards it. Yep, I think that topi's picked her up. Well, that topi hasn't made it to adulthood for no reason. Yeah, there she goes. And the female now lying on her side, almost embarrassed. So, folks, that was highly exciting and lots of anticipation. It was purely unlucky from the female, but the topi gets to live another day, and that is the trials and tribulations of survival out in the bush. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and thank you for joining us on Safari Live with that action broadcast. So we're just looking out, and Alright folks, so for all the regular viewers, I was just doing a quick action broadcast there in anticipation of that hunt, but it does seem now that this topi is fully aware of that lion being in its general vicinity, and it's probably going to let everybody else know as well. So the game is up, and she's going to have to choose another target because this topi has got her number. I definitely think it was down to her moving with the wind. If she had had a bit of help from some other lions, it would have been potentially a lot easier, but I think she's realized now too that that's not going to happen. Yep. She's now looking up into the wind, which is a better direction for her to be looking. She can forget about that topi because she doesn't stand a chance. Even though she's still quite close to it, the topi is fixated on her, and as I've said, very fast animals, the topi. Unless she was very close, she wouldn't have been able to catch it. So, we are going to carry on sitting here with this female lion because the potential of her trying to hunt something else is quite large, with her obviously being reasonably hungry, and that male being off there in the distance of no help whatsoever. But in the meantime, we'll carry on sitting here. Let's send you over to Scott, who I think is driving around.
Just stumbled upon this cuckoo. I'm not entirely sure if it's a striped or a Lavalian's cuckoo just yet, but they're usually quite secretive birds. It looks like, sorry, a striped and it looked like it is in fact the Lavalian's or striped cuckoo. You can see it's got a few stripes along its chest, and who knows, maybe the sneaky bird is looking for a host within which it's going to pop its egg and then abandon that egg for the hosts to raise. Very sneaky birds, the cuckoos, and I guess that's why they are quite secretive. They're probably ashamed at their behavior, but this one seems, or like I say, looking for a host nest. Now, I can't remember exactly what the hosts, what the host species are for these cuckoos. I've got a feeling that it is starlings, but I'm just going to have a quick look on my bird app to make sure I'm not misinforming you guys. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a meal? You can definitely see it's looking for... I'm not sure. Of course, they do need to spend a great deal of time seeking out the appropriate host, and the nests will be quite hidden most of the time, not only from cuckoos but also from predators, so it's not easy to find nests. Hello, Karen J. I'm very, very happy to hear that you are happy to have seen this bird for the very first time, and I'm sure you're going to add it to... Oh, well done, it found a caterpillar. Yummy. Well, I don't know how yummy it is, but it gobbled it up one shot, so very, very happy that we managed to work out what in fact it was doing. And I was misinforming. It's not the starlings that they like to parasitize. It is arrow-marked babblers, which are, as their name suggests, very loud birds. a little bit smaller than these guys, and quite often with the cuckoos you'll find that their host that they lay their egg in will often be smaller than the young chick that's growing up. It kind of dwarfs not only the host chick, but sometimes also the host parents itself. And I'm guessing this cuckoo's quite cleverly chosen this little bush willow tree that it's jumping around in. Well, now it's actually in a round leaf teak, it looks like, because obviously it's noticed that there's some kind of a hatching of where there's one caterpillar, you tend to find many. But it's having a hard time finding them. As you can see, it's quite a windy afternoon here. Good hunting conditions, not only for the big cats, but also for birds, like this cuckoo. Sinak, you'd like to know what other kinds of cuckoos do we get in this area? Well, we get the red-chested cuckoo, also known as the Piet May bird, and I've got it wrong. I've lost the call. Something like that, but not now. I'm doing that wrong. That's the three blind mice that I'm doing. Terrible. So let me see if I can get my bird app to help me quickly. Okay, 1 second. No, I'm on the wrong bird call here, so you're listening to a Lavalian's call. Don't really know my way around this app. It seems to have changed somehow, and now I'm battling to do anything. But there's a number of cuckoos, Sinak, the Deirdrix and Class's cuckoo, which will probably be the two prettiest cuckoos. They're a green color, a kind of bright green color. Let me see if I can show you some of the cuckoos we get. Let's have a look at my phone. So, it's going to be tricky in this light, but we'll go for it. So, the Jacobins and the Lavalian's cuckoo look very, very similar. It's just that the Lavalian's has got those black fletchers on its chest. We sometimes see thick-billed cuckoos here, but very rarely. We do get the great spotted. We do get the red-chested, the one whose call I can't make. The common cuckoo and African cuckoo we do see, but not very commonly. Then this is the two pretty ones that I was suggesting, the Deirdrix and the Classes, not nearly as big as the cuckoo we've just been looking at now. Taylor found you guys a view of this cuckoo, I think. Or did she get it, or did she just miss it? But she was trying desperately to show you one of these up in the Mara. Incredibly beautiful birds. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. So, quite a few. We also get the black cuckoo. Sorry, one last one. So, a large host of cuckoos, I think it's fair to say, Sinak. Let's check if there's another page here. No. End of the road. Very good. So, sadly, there's no sign of quarantine male leopard, who we were hoping was going to cross into Djuma. He was seen very close to one of our borders earlier this morning, but it appears he has in fact not come across, judging by the bush telegraph reading the tracks left behind by the animals on the roads. So I'm not too sure where to go next or what to do exactly. I did pop into one or two hyena dens this morning in the hope that they would be active. I think now it's still a bit too hot for that. So what I'm probably going to do is drive down a bumpy, not very welcoming road in the hope. So while I bump down there, I think it'll be best for you guys to hop across on board with Tristan for a smoother ride.
Well, it's about as smooth as it gets because we are absolutely stationary at the moment. The reason why we're stationary is we've come to try and follow up on Tinga appearance and has scattered these leopards in every direction. Now, what we were doing is we're just doing loops around to try and see where these leopards went. We found one that crossed over into Vuyatela and then promptly came back in this direction, and it seems one of them is lying here underneath one of the trees that is on my left hand side. Unfortunately, even with binoculars and the camera and all the just out of the way, that we actually can't see any sign of this leopard at all, which is really quite sad. I believe the male lion is somewhere close by as well, and so maybe if the male lion stands up, that might send this leopard scurrying and heading back towards this area. So that's why we're just being patient at the moment and just seeing what happens. Which leopard it is, I have no idea, and whether or not both of them are still there, or if maybe one has gone away since the Birmingham arrived, I don't know, but interesting nonetheless. Theoretically though, north of us there's a marula tree that is pretty much kind of right opposite us. So that marula tree just to the left there, Ferg. Left, other one. That one in the background. So you can see the vehicle there. There's a marula tree right where they are, and somewhere at the base of that is a leopard. Unfortunately, there's far too much vegetation in the way for me to see anything. I don't know if any of you clever people can see something on the screen. I definitely can't see anything, but at the base of that marula, in the background between all the spike thorns, apparently is a leopard somewhere there. So what we're doing now is just being patient. We're just biding our time, hoping that we'll get a little lucky and that we'll get a situation where, like I say, this lion makes an appearance or stands up or does something that the leopards then decide to move back towards where we can actually see them. So for now it's just a patience game and a waiting game, and hopefully we'll get lucky. What I might do is just take a turn past Chitwa Dam just to see if there's anything kind of happening down there while we wait, but somewhere, like I say, there is a leopard. I don't know where exactly, but in that kind of area itself. Maybe what I can do is just try go forward just a little bit, see if maybe Ferg gets another angle that he can just see. I don't think so though. I think we got a situation where it's going to just be too dense and too much vegetation between us and where that actual leopard is. So it was worth a shot and worth a try, but the other problem is that we've got a situation where the camera is slightly higher mounted than what I am. Ferg, should we try from there and just see? I know it's a few branches in the way, but let's just try. You never know. Maybe we get lucky somewhere in that sort of area there. Can we see anything? Now, all of us have got to use our eyes a little bit to try and spot into the grass there and see if we can see any spots. I don't see anything at all. Mac, you're wondering if the leopards are hiding on purpose? Well, maybe. I suppose they're entitled to hide a little bit some of the times. So somewhere in there, like I say, the leopard would be hiding. And the reason why is just to the right-hand side. So from where that tree is, if you move, I would say 40 meters to the right of that is where the male lion apparently is. So the male lion apparently is on our right-hand side where the kill was. So the kill was in a marula tree just to the right-hand side there. That's where we saw Tingana yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, sorry, and this morning I think Scott saw him in that tree over there. And so just to the bottom right of that you'll see another vehicle, and that's apparently where the Birmingham male is. So the male lion and the leopard are very close together at the moment. In fact, they're, like I say, about 40 meters apart, which is pretty strange. You would think that this leopard would be hightailing it out of here. I surmise that maybe male leopard that they're seeing in that area. So I don't know, maybe it is, like I say, Tingana that's still there and Hosanna has moved somewhere deeper into Torchwood. It's difficult to say. We haven't checked much of Cheetah Cutline to be able to see. So it's going to be a patience game, and hopefully we will get lucky at some point and be rewarded with both lion and leopard. It's so frustrating when they're so close and yet so far at the same time, but you never know. Like I say, patience is rewarded, and so let's see how we go. In the meantime, let's go back across to Ralph, who's exercised extreme patience with that lioness as she tried to stalk and get closer, and hopefully she'll have better luck as she moves around and finds some other prey items to hunt.
Yes, thanks, Tristan. Yeah, we watched the female reposition herself and start to stalk a warthog, but the warthog also spotted her and ran off, so she's been a little bit unlucky. And she's come back now towards this young male who we had earlier, who was flat on his back chasing flies, and he's been absolutely no help to her whatsoever. you can see how he's starting to get his mane, but for now it really doesn't look that great. He's not really filled out that much, so he looks a little bit awkward. And yes, Faith in FC saying that he looks beautiful. Well, I disagree. I say that he looks quite fugly, but he's got very big teeth nonetheless. Now, Martin, that's a good comment. It looks like he's got a mohawk. Exactly. That's what it starts to look like when they start growing their mane. You get that little punk hairstyle in the middle, and then he's got his lamb chops coming out the sides there. It's like he hasn't shaved, but down from his sideburns. A little bit like Elvis, isn't he? A lion version of Elvis. Now, Ben, you're wondering if I know which young male this is. No, Ben, I don't. We did spot him yesterday, but he seems to be in the vicinity of this marsh breakaway pride. So I'm thinking that he is part of them, but he's in that awkward phase that is potentially going to be booted out quite soon. So he sort of does hang on the outskirts. He's not getting too involved. Maybe just with this one female that's been helping him a little bit, which sometimes maybe that's his mother. And that can quite often happen, that the rest of the pride have actually booted him, and his mother maybe just helping him out a little bit. You know, it's like my father always says about us boys. He says, you know, you can get your kids out the house, but never out your wallet. And that's maybe what a little bit of a case that's going on here. This male has been booted out the house, but mom's just helping him get on his feet a little bit. But sooner or later, an adult male is going to chase him off, and he'll be lucky if he gets away with his life, if he carries on hanging around. So he's going to have to go and trying to make a coalition with some other males, or he's going to have to do it all on his own. So tough time lies ahead. Julie, you're wondering if mother lions teach their cubs how to hunt. Well, yes, they do. It's a little bit different to that with cheetah, but they're still part of the team. So remember that lions are all about the team, and what they'll do is, when they're very small, they do bring them back some prey that they sort of injure, but they keep them alive so that the young lions can learn how to tackle. You know, they do that in play as well, but then they are then exposed to a live animal, and it's all about that killing. But then they'll also bring the cubs regularly to kills and animals that they have killed. So obviously that's where it starts, and then they get a taste for meat and blood, and then they know that that's where they're going to be getting that lovely tasting flesh from, and they slowly then learn how to go with the pride and start to hunt. But very often when the cubs start hunting with the pride, it's a disaster, because they normally, like you saw with that female there, she was very patient, waiting, biding her time, waiting for the right moment. The cubs, when they start hunting with the group, they're very impatient, and they generally give themselves away very early, and so it becomes a wasted exercise. So you'll see the group or the pride allowing the youngsters to join them on some hunts, but then eventually they do get a bit irritated or probably very hungry, and they almost push the youngsters or make them stay at a specific spot, and then they go off and get the hunt done, and they do the business, and then they'll bring back or allow the cubs to come in and feed on it again, and so that process goes on. So it's obviously lions, they do need to learn that whole process, but it's mostly driven by hunger. So even lions that are bred in captivity, they can learn how to hunt, and it's just down to how hungry they are and what food's available. But they'll start with eating even lizards and reptiles and all sorts of small things. Now, Paula, you're wondering if all male lions will lose their manes if they're neutered. Paula, as far as I believe, as far as I've seen, and I do believe that it is a case of whenever they are neutered, that is where their mane will remain, if that makes sense. Because I've been to a number of zoos and safari parks in the UK, and I've seen neutered males that do have a full mane, and then I've seen them that they look like massive females with absolutely no mane. And in chatting to the zookeepers and the people that look after the lions, that's the impression that I've got, is that it depends when they are neutered. So if they're neutered before they get their mane, they're still going to grow up big and get the big skull and the big body and all of that, but they don't then get the mane. And I'm assuming it's because of the hormones and things that get lost then. But if they wait until they get their mane and then neuter them, they won't necessarily drop their mane. They'll actually keep it from them. So, and we've got a bit of an audience now with a lot of topies watching. Died monkey, you're wondering if animals communicate with body language and snorts and grunts, etc. Yes, absolutely. They don't necessarily vocalize all their communication. A lot of it is down to body language and just simple noises, so grunts and growls. So it's not necessarily a vocal. And looking at body language with animals as well, you can even look at it very simply with your house dogs, with your common domestic dogs. If you allow your dog to be introduced to another dog immediately, especially if they're off the leash, that's the best way to let them mingle anyway. Drop the leashes and watch what they do. One of them usually is going to act subordinate, maybe put the ears down, wag the tail, and maybe do a bit of licking around the mouth. So that whole subordinate behavior would be in response to a dominant behavior of very proud and standing upright, maybe raising the hackles on the back a little bit. So there's all that little body language communication that is presented, and that's without them having even made a single noise. So definitely, and all animals will do that, and that's why when we train the students or potential guides to be able to walk in the bush where there is potentially dangerous animals such as lions and buffalo and elephant, we need to look at their body language, because that is the major thing that we need to look at. What is the lion presenting to us? What is the elephant presenting to us? What are they feeling? Are they aggressive towards us, etc.? And it comes through all in their body language. So the body language of this lion, though, at present is just that he is totally relaxed and chasing flies. While we sit here watching him chasing flies, let's go back over to Taylor for a little bit of an update.
So guess where we are? We've already made our way up to the top of the escarpment. We're on the airstrip now, having a look around for that leopard and her 3 cubs that have been sighted a couple of times around here. But sadly, no luck just yet. I thought we'd have a good chance of maybe seeing her come out. But I suppose anything could happen, anything could change. Also keeping an eye out for a couple of cuckoos, because there are plenty cuckoos up top here. And seeing as though you're seeing them with Scott, it would be quite nice to see one that we don't get down in the Sabi sands. So hopefully we can see the African emerald cuckoo. Wouldn't that be quite nice? I think that would be perfect. But I haven't heard one calling, which is normally we do hear them right just before sunset. There was a red-chested cuckoo last night singing its heart out. I don't know why. It was the only bird that was calling, actually the only animal other than lions and hyenas. Every now and then I could just hear this red-chested cuckoo singing and singing and singing and singing. As were not leopard tracks. So yeah, so it's a little bit quiet, and sun, I was hoping to find a nice sundowner spot, but doesn't look like we're going to get too many. I think when the light is going to be beautiful, and it's lovely now, it's lovely and golden. Unfortunately, it's going to pop behind the clouds, and we're going to miss it when it's really, really beautiful. Not too cloudy, but there's a few out tonight, and I can't believe we're going to have an evening with no rain. Maybe this evening. What do you think, Manu? Maybe tonight, or do you think we're safe? Manu says tonight or tomorrow. It's a bit of a gamble. I mean, look how hazy it is down there. That's crazy. Now, Abed, you're wondering if I'm at the top of the escarpment. That's exactly where I am. It's so cool. So now I'm looking down on the triangle, and it's a pity that it's so hazy. Otherwise, I would have tried to have showed you Serena. Can you see it? There we go, to the left a little bit, and you can just see the towers. So that's Serena there. Just to give you an idea exactly where we are. Those are the big towers and fake Christmas trees. They're not really Christmas trees, but they're the big various towers that they have for cell phone reception, Wi-Fi, you name it. But normally you can see right to the back, but it is so hazy. I think there's some bad weather, or at least a bad spell of weather coming through, maybe over the next few days. Hopefully no wind. I'm a bit bored of the wind now. So last week. Not into that at all. Megan, you're wondering if this is where FC is? Not quite. I can maybe take you to FC. What's the time though? Okay. Stay with me. Hold on. Let me take you into camp. We've got a little bit of driving to do though. I'm just coming up to the end of the airstrip. But it won't take us very long. If you're happy to stay on the bumble with us, you're welcome to. I'm going to... Okay, we'll do it officially. We'll go through the boom like we're checking into Angama. We're not going to go to Angama. We're going to go to our camp, which is next door. So I was going to go the sneaky back way. Faith is panicking. She doesn't have her makeup on. Now you know how I feel every single day, because I don't wear any makeup. I only wear makeup when I'm in the city. Otherwise... this is who I is. Just straight. I don't actually speak like that, but I feel like that's the hip thing to maybe say. I've also done an illegal maneuver, but I don't know where that road actually was supposed to come out. I have absolutely no idea. So this is where we get let in. This is one of our security gates, and basically, unless you have got a pass or you drive one of our cars, you are not allowed in here. Your name has to be put on a list, and if it is not put on a list, then you will not get through. This fine gentleman will not let you go through. There he is, he's protecting us. I don't know why I had to. Okay, right, let's see if we're going to fit underneath. Hello, thank you so much. Thanks, Edward. Bye, Edward. Edward's lovely. Okay, here's the soccer fields. This is where we play around. I can't play soccer. But this is where the Angama staff, who are very much soccer fanatics and enjoy the odd game, come and play. And we've watched 2 games, haven't we? We've watched 2 games live, just not the whole ones, just a few snippets. We've even seen a goal being scored live. That was incredible. That was with Derby. Okay, now this road has just recently been repaired, and all the different types of gravel popped on top. Now we're not going to go to the lodge, that's to Angama. We're going to do the back entrance. We're going to go through to deliveries. This is our way round. They hide us in the corner back here. Here's the... should we poke our nose into the shamba? We'll have a look. We'll do the full tour. Because it's such nice light. We'll quickly show you the shamba. I can't drive into the shamba though. They would murder me if I did that. It would send me back to South Africa. Okay, and it's actually, I was going to not drive on the road, and I thought, nah, behave. So I'll show you the entrance to the shamba. We're almost home, I promise. Here is the shamba. That's quite an interesting setup. Now, if you're wondering what on earth a shamba is, it's basically like a nursery, a garden, lots of vegetables and things that grow through there, but it's closed. That wooden gate signifies that it is closed and no one can go inside. There's even bells on the very basic sort of pole and wire fence to keep the elephants away. So if they lean up against the fences, there's the old cowbells that will ding, and that's supposed to deter them and give them a bit of a fright. There we go, just a very basic fence. Let's reverse out of here though. Come on, Mila. Okay, let's turn. I don't think I'm going to reverse all the way out. Let's do this. Whee! Okay, and then whee! Sorry, Manu, but bumpy. I haven't actually done a tour with you. I think Jamie or Brent has done a tour. Just bump over those. We'll do it quite quickly. I feel like I'm going in fast forward at the moment though. Okay, now we're coming along. We're basically right on the edge of the escarpment now. It's not far from here. It's so beautiful. So you go and stand down and have a look first thing in the morning. Actually, we've got the best view from camp for the sunrise, and so does Angama Mara. It's spectacular how high we are. There's the mess tent. There's a little bit of it. There's the kitchen. We won't go through there though because you can't actually see anything, but that's where that is. And then this is the way we go. I think we go here. Yeah, of course we do. Okay, we're almost home. Faith should just about start to hear us now, the car rumbling. There's the Angama garages. This is where we park the cars and the diesel tanks are, and they park all the machinery and things like that. And close it though, so that the elephants and things don't come through and annoy everybody. And then, okay, we're almost home. This is our pizza oven. It's not, I'm just joking, it's not a pizza oven. It's the incinerator. Please don't cook any pizzas in there. I don't know if I'd want to eat a pizza that's been cooked. And then, hooray, I'm home! Should I shout, honey, I'm home? And then someone must run out and bring me something. I don't know who's going to do it. There's a random chair. I don't know why that chair is there. Who knows? And then here's some tents. There's Alex. Alex, wave! There's our technical Russian genius. He's panicking now. We're live, by the way. The roars from Final Control as he panics. No one ever gets to see anyone behind the scenes. Let's see if we can spot anybody in FC. FC's through that window. Wait, should I drive up to a bit closer? There's Faith! Who's that? Ryan, turn around. Ryan, please come outside. Ryan is one of our new employees. Ryan, please come outside. I'm summoning you. You have to. We're live. You have to come outside. Is he not coming? I want to show you how tall Ryan is. I'm getting out the car now. Look at this. It's incredible. He's about 17 feet. He almost hits his head on the doorway. Look how tall he is. Now, you all know how tall I am. Well, you sort of know how tall I am. I don't know why this chair is here. I'm so little in comparison. I'm 172. How tall are you again?
6'8".
6'8". Have you ever, the Dothraki of camp? But yes, so this is camp. Final Control. James's studio is the door just to the right of Final Control. So that's where James works. And then I have to show you my tent. Oh, let me get in. I'll have to reposition a little bit. Past Chiku, which is one of my other cars. Come have a look here. This is my room. Cool. Look here. There's my room. That first tent over there, they keep me close to Final Control so that they can keep track of me as I go wandabouts and am never on time for work. But anyways, I'm going to send you down to South Africa now, and who knows, maybe Tristan is going to give you a tour of Djuma. I highly doubt it though, and I hope that he does find you all a leopard.
So what we've got here is a very cool bird. It's not one that we see that often, but It's called a common green shank, and so these green shanks, I mean, we do see them fairly often, I suppose. They are a wading bird that you see every now and then. They've got that slightly upcurved beak, long yellowy grey coloured legs, and often are doing exactly what this one is doing, which is walking along the edges of water looking for all kinds of insects that it can snipe. But I haven't seen one here at Chitwa Dam for a while, so nice to see it. And I thought while we're waiting for that leopard and those that lion to wake up and decide what they want to do, we'll just sit here and hopefully they will get... Oh, bless you, Fergus. Are you all right there?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you. It was a crocodile. Or hippo. Oh, sorry. So hippo apparently just sneezed behind me on my vehicle here. So, Fergus, I know you would like to think of yourself as large as a hippo, but I'm afraid not. So what I was saying is that we'll just come and do a bit of birding instead. So we'll just sit here and wait, and hopefully everything else will start to move as we sit here. It's a recipe that's really worked for us in the past, is being patient at Chitwa Dam. Sometimes we get super lucky and things come along and we're able to then find them from there. So you've got to kind of get some luck going and sit and enjoy things as they go. But you can see it's a very pretty little bird as it moves along, kind of beak just going through the water, a little small eye stripe, and like I say, those yellowy grey legs that they've got. They are quite quick little birds. You can see they move very fast as they go along and pick off little insects and all kinds of emerging sort of, well, insects is probably the best word for it. Now, there are a number of other birds around. I was looking for our collared pratincoles. I was hoping that they would be here as well, and I've just actually, funny enough, just spotted two of them. So it's not the great flock that we've had here before, but there are two collared pratincoles just in front of me that are moving around in the mud. So while our green sandpiper comes forward, the two pratincoles are just on that peninsula. You can see they camouflage quite well just on this little sort of right-hand point of the waterhole. You'll see them come down a little bit. There we go. A little bit down to your right. There it is. So there's our collared pratincole just sitting, camouflaging ever so well in amongst the mud. Now that's a young individual. You can see its little collar is just starting to come out. It hasn't quite formed just yet. So this is still a little immature and is waiting to develop a little bit more. Maybe that's why it's still here and the rest of the flock has moved off. Also, the rest of the flock could be sitting on the island at Chitwa, or maybe some other area around this particular section. But nice to see. They're birds that are not always around, and in fact the rest of the guys in the Sabi Sands that I've spoken to are really quite kind of jealous that we get to see these guys as much as we do, because there's a number of big birders in the Sabi Sands that are guides, and they all are envious that we get to see these guys on an almost daily basis in the summer months at Chitwa. So very cool to see them, and this little one is actually quite mobile. You're very interested in running around, aren't you? Very cool little things. And like I say, you can see that perfect little collar in front that's starting to form. It's not quite right just yet, but it will eventually get to that point where it's a nice big thick black line under its chin. A little nervous of the car that's coming past, so scuttling down, but nice to see. Right, I'm trying to see what other birds we've got around. There was a wood sandpiper here that was moving around as well. I don't know where that's ended up. It was kind of tucked in amongst all of this as well. And I'm looking for our ever-present green-backed herons, because the green-backed herons for me are some of the best birds to follow at Chitwa Dam, because they like to hunt at this time of the night, and so they're very exciting to watch them. I get quite excited and I see them. The ever-present red-billed buffalo weavers, they're all up in the tree doing their business, making their nests as they always seem to be doing. It's lots of things going on, back and forth, lots of talking as they construct these incredible nests. There you can see one of them sitting out in the open, which is very cool to see. Often find them kind of hidden away, so to have one out right in the open is quite wonderful. Okay, right, let's see what else we can find. I want to see if our crocodiles are around. I know Ralph has been delving into the crocodile world. Oh, that's actually quite nice. Before we go to our crocodile, let's enjoy our buffalo weaver that's busy building and see how they actually place things and maneuver. It's a large stick there for a small little bird, and you can see how it places it and get it in place to be able to defend the babies that are inside and to make sure that the structure is nice and sound and that stick doesn't fall out. It's a rather large job for this little one to do. So Sinak, you're wondering, do we only see these pratincoles in summer? Yes. So the pratincoles only come out in the summer months to South Africa. You see them in Zimbabwe a lot and up into Mozambique. In the winter months they go up that way, but in summer they then come a little bit further inland. Sands, and that's maybe why we see them down on Singita at one of the pans, otherwise only on the Sand River and then here at Chitwa Dam. So it's not a common bird for a lot of the other guides out here and in the Sabi Sands itself. And of course this is not the pratincole, this is the red-billed buffalo weaver that is still busy building if you've just joined us. Okay, Fergus, let's go and try and find a crocodile. I was saying that Rolf has been seeing the crocs a lot and delving into the croc world, but I want to see if our crocs are here, in particular our little baby crocs, because I don't know, I haven't seen them for quite some time, so I would like to see them. Also, what are all those white birds on the other side there? Are those all comb ducks? It looks like it. It's interesting. There's a whole bunch of birds across in front of me at Chitwa that look like comb ducks, or not comb ducks actually, they're now knob-billed ducks again apparently. So, sorry Nix, the wind is gusting a little bit. Can you just repeat that question for me? So Beard, you're asking what was that fat fuzzy bird near the water. Now I can't be certain which exact bird you're talking about, but I think you're referring to the pratincole. That's the one that we were talking about earlier, so that's what I think you're referring to, is that little fat fluffy one with a little black sort of chin stripe. That's the pratincole, so that's what I was kind of after. But you can see on our left hand side here we've got the comb ducks, lots and lots of them. It almost looks like there's a different type of comb duck inside there, which is, well, a different type of duck, but it's actually just a young comb duck. It's also, oh sorry, a female with all these males. There's a lot of males there. You can see lots and lots of males with their big kind of knob on their beak, which is why they're called knob-billed ducks. I keep calling them comb ducks because it got changed to comb duck, then it got changed back to bull duck, and it's all very confusing in my mind, so it takes me a while to actually work out what's going on. But they are actually known as knob-billed ducks now. They're no longer called comb ducks, and it's because there is a comb duck in South America, and that's why the name was changed back to knob-billed duck again. But there's a little juvenile in there as well, which is the duck to the far right. You'll see that there is one that is a different color to all the rest. There it is. You see it's a little bit more speckly and a little bit more kind of brown bronzy color compared to the others, so that's just a younger one that is now developing and becoming an adult. Oh, a little fighting action. That's very feisty. Dark, but look at that iridescent sheen as they turn. So the males really are impressive looking ducks. There's lots of fighting going on between the girls. I wonder if the girls are trying to secure themselves some boys. Boys are definitely interested, girls are there. Oh, it's all happening. I wonder if we're going to get a little duck war that's going to break out here at Chitwa Dam. But let's have a look. That particular one, the one that's a little dirtier than the others, or not dirtier, has a little different color. Maybe she feels a little bit alone because she's a different color, is chasing all the others and making sure it makes itself known. Very cool to see though. You can see it's slightly smaller than the others that are there, but it is definitely the same bird. They have a little bit of a different look when they are juveniles, so it is part of the same species. It's just a slightly smaller individual, but definitely not shy to bully the others, which is a little naughty. Nice to see though. I haven't seen a number of these ducks together like this in quite some time, so very cool. And like I say, the colors are absolutely beautiful. You can see they've got these kind of sheens all over them. So, Joy, in Hong Kong, you want to know what they use these big combs on their beak, or these knobs on their beak for? Well, this is a discussion that Scott had the other day, and he said he wasn't really sure. In my mind, I mean, I don't know the answer to this 100%, but in my mind and what I surmise is that it is a sign of, much like a male lion's mane, is it is a sign of maturity and a well-developed big male duck, and therefore females, according to maybe the size of it, will be more attracted or less attracted. I don't know. It's interesting concept, but I'm sure it's got something to do with that. I'm sure it's a display to the females to say, I'm a mature, big, strong individual, and that is an impressive kind of structure. Like I say, male lions have it, and various other animals. Leopards get the dewlap, and so on. You get these different kinds of sort of structures on males. So that's what I would surmise it for. I don't think it plays any part in the feeding process, nor does it play any part in the way that they are able to produce sound, because it seems as though it's on top of the nasal area. It's not actually part of the nasal area, which would make it then resonate and maybe a sound would come out of it. But it seems like it's just growing between those two nasal sort of ports, and that means that it's probably got nothing to do with that. So it's more just a display to the females than anything else. That's what I surmise. Like I say, maybe somebody out there is a little cleverer than I am and will be able to come up with the exact reason why. Now, while we're sitting here, I've also spotted our crocodile, which I was looking for, which is the one that is across on the bank over my head, basically. So there we go. Now, I can't see if it's Vlad or Boris. It's one of the two of them. Either way, it is a menacing sight when you see a crocodile at eye level like that, with its mouth slightly open and its pearly whites shining in the afternoon sunshine. It's definitely something that sends a little shiver down your spine. But crocodiles are amazing, especially that little eye. Look at that beady green and yellow eye that's just kind of watching us from there. And there we go, falling asleep again. It looks like it might be Vlad, just from size point of view. That's not a small crocodile by any stretch of the imagination. Nice big fatty neck roll that the crocodiles have when they get much older. Also big head. Look at those teeth. Are they not impressive? And let's see if the mouth is going to open a little bit more. Crocodiles open their mouth like this, much like you'll see birds as well, or when you see a lion or a leopard panting when it's hot. It's the same thing for this crocodile. Just opens its mouth, and then it can regulate its temperature a little bit and expel any of that heat, excess heat, should it get too hot by basking in the sun like this. Now, what I would think is that this particular crocodile is probably going to warm up a little bit longer. Remember, it was a rainy morning this morning, so not too much sunshine. The sun only started to come out at about 1 o'clock, and so it hasn't had too much time in the sun. So I'm sure it's going to warm up, and then from there, it probably will go on a hunting spree a little bit later. And the crocs here at Chitwa are not hugely active in terms of their hunting. They'll go more after fish and things like that than birds or mammals. Sammy Jane, you're wondering if ducks are hunted for food in terms of, in the wild, yes, by many different animals, but by people will go and shoot ducks for food in parts of South Africa, but here in the wild, obviously we don't do that. None of these ducks are allowed to be touched while supposed to be killing anything in these protected areas. So all of these that you see here will be absolutely fine, but there are places in South Africa where you can shoot, and it's only certain species of ducks. I'm actually not even sure which species are able to be hunted out here. I know a number of them are not allowed. You're not allowed to shoot them, but I would have no idea where I've spoken to anyone that does duck shooting here in South Africa. First lady, you're wondering if I know life of me cannot. What you would see from shark teeth is that they just kind of come out and they don't have only a finite set of teeth. It keeps growing as they lose. But I'm not sure how many in total are on display at any one time. I forget the number now. Maybe we can count them if we want to do so. What do you think, Fergus? Should we try and count all of the teeth? You know, it's going to be very difficult to count all of those, but there are a number of them inside there. I'm sure somebody can help us out and will be able to give us an answer without me having to count, because there is a lot, and I can't actually even see the smaller ones in between the big ones very well at all. All I can tell you, though, is that it is a large number. I would say, I think maybe somewhere around 40 odd. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. So we'll have to try and ask for help, phone a friend, and see what can happen. Let's see if maybe somebody out there can help us. Hashtag Safari Live. How many teeth a crocodile has at any one time? Any one time and in total throughout their life. I would imagine at any one time I'm going to go with somewhere around 40, 50. What do you reckon, Ferg?
Yeah, I'd go 39.
39 for Fergus. So 39 for Fergus. You reckon they're uneven, Fergus? Okay, nothing even about a crocodile apparently. And I reckon, like I say, between 40 and 50. Nikki Austin, who's our director, what do you think, Nikki? Come on. He's thinking, apparently. Or I've just lost her. Either one, I'm not really sure what's going on. But one. So Nikki's going to go with 40 teeth. And let's see how many somebody can come across with. I might even actually go a little more. I think maybe even 50 is conservative. I might even push it up to closer to 60. 60 sounds better to me in my mind, and it makes a situation in my mind where I think that is about the number that I've read before. So somewhere around 60 is what I'm going to go with. Actually, I revised my answer. Now, take care. You're wondering how long are those biggest teeth that are in that crocodile's mouth? Well, just judging from this particular crocodile and from where I'm sitting, remember that the whole tooth is not visible. Remember, there is some that goes up into that jawline. So in inches, what would we say in inches? That would be about, I'd say close to 3 inches, maybe a little bit longer. I would say that's about the length of some of those longer teeth there. They're not that long, maybe close to sort of 7 centimeters, somewhere around there. I'm not sure if that is 3 inches, but they're somewhere in that general vicinity. So Debbie from Vancouver, you say all you ever seen from our Chitwa crocodile is basking, and that when do they ever hunt? Well, they hunt quite a bit during the day. So when I used to work at Chitwa, we used to see the crocodile normally hunting just before afternoon game drive, and it used to go into the corner on the opposite side. So straight behind it, there is a little bank and a bay in the back side of the dam there. There it is. You can see the little bay in the background there. And so what it does is it goes into that little bay and it goes in sideways, and it pushes its whole body up against that little rounded area, and that causes all the fish to start jumping over it and trying to get away, and then it just snatches fish as they come. So it's a very clever way of going about hunting. So they do hunt there, and then I've seen them hunt at random. So I've seen them go after all kinds of different things. I also have just seen an interesting bird that's just flown across, which I want to go and quickly try and see what it is. It looks like it could be one of the bittens, so I want to go and try and see if we can find that bittern quickly. Connective tissue with the crocodile's jaws. Yes, Fergus, bitten and crocodile jaw. You wouldn't want to be bitten by. Give us a shout and tell us how many teeth we've got in a crocodile. Alright, Bree, you say that they can have up to 80 teeth. Is that so? 80 teeth, which can be replaced around 50 times in their lifetime. So what's 5/8, Fergus? Come on, Fergus. You're sleeping. It's 40, Fergus. So 400 teeth in their lifetime. Don't worry. We'll wake you up at some point and you will be teeth at any one time as the most. I certainly would imagine having 400 teeth in your lifetime and they keep falling out. No thank you. I would rather have it the way that we do, where we don't have to stress about the number of teeth throughout. really. There's a beautiful big elephant bull that's also coming down on the opposite side of the dam, and it is a picturesque scene to say the least. Now the bittern, or the bird that I thought I saw that looked like a bittern, flew in this direction, and so I'm trying to just see if it's somewhere here. We'll have a look at the Ellie while I scan around and check. Maybe it's gone behind the dam wall into the oasis, so we'll have to go and look around there just now, but let me check here first. How beautiful is that scene of that Ellie having a little drink on the other side of the dam? I think it's very pretty, as that Ellie kind of just takes in a bit of water and just enjoys its nice cool qualities on a warm afternoon. It's also in amongst those dead trees where the dam has flooded up. It's just a very pretty scene as far as I'm concerned. So nice to see an Ellie bull coming down to Chitwa. It doesn't quite look like the Sabi sands when they are down at the water like that. So very cool to see. Now, he is not the oldest Ellie I've ever seen. He's not small, but he's still got some growing to do and will definitely get a little bit bigger at some stage. No, our bittern is not here anywhere to be seen, so I'm going to keep looking for it and try and scratch around and see if I can find it. While I do that, let's go back across to Scotty, who I think is, well, just bumbling about at this stage.
I certainly am bumbling and bimbling about, and happy to hear that Tristan has been on fine form at Chitwa Waterhole, showing you a number of different things. I'm quite jealous I actually wasn't there to join in on the fun, and it's certainly not going to be the first time we all feel left out when all the action's happening on the other vehicle. Having said that though, we have been doing some important reconnaissance. We've been sitting at a small kind of bridge where Tundi, a female leopard, was seen heading into the morning sunlight with Tristan, and we were just sitting there just to make sure, you know, maybe she hadn't possibly gone back there. She did exit it with Tristan around, but she could have gone back. There's some tracks that indicate like they could have gone back in there, possibly. But what we thought would make sense would be to come back to this area. I just saw a little squirrel running around, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a little cub, but it is a squirrel in fact. That's why I switched off. But like I said, I just wanted to... And we are just arriving now, so you've come at a good time. Maybe we will be lucky, maybe not. It can be tricky with the afternoon sunlight looking into this hole. Now, let me just use my binoculars quickly. Sadly, is in the way of the camera to look effectively into this cave-like crevice. No immediate first signs of any leopard there, but it must be said that even Tundi, the adult female leopard, can disappear into entirely. So she could be tucked in there. No guarantees. And now that we have had a quick check, I think we'll probably move out of this area, because I do have a feeling that she has moved away from the spots. And I think the reason why she has moved away is because she somehow ended up with a kill here, and that makes absolutely no sense. That even though predators are opportunistic, I understand that. Even if a monkey jumped on top of Tundi whilst at the den, even if she had have killed it here, she should have taken it away to feed on. So I'm mesmerized by the fact that she was chewing on something in the actual den site, and it was something of a substantial size, because that was yesterday afternoon when I saw her chewing on something, and this morning when Tristan arrived here, he did see her continuing to chew on whatever it was she had. And just as I drove in here now, possibly when we drive out I'll double check, but I did think I saw a hyena track. So all good reasons for her to want to move den sites. So I'm guessing she is at that little bridge where Tristan saw her heading into this morning. vehicles, go and spend some time waiting patiently at a safe distance in the hope that she comes out, because we have seen by far more some of the other guides and their guests to see it. Just want to see now if I can't see a hyena track here. Quickly. No, it looks like her tracks. But I don't want to spend too much time here because Tristan is one of them.
Indeed we are. So there's a little bird sitting there that is a very pretty bird, and some of you will recognize it and some of you won't. Now this isn't the bird that I saw flying. This is just another little surprise. Greater painted snipe, she's more beautiful than the male, which is very strange for the bird world. Most of the time the painted snipes are very much, males birds are more sort of colourful, but in painted snipes you'll find that these guys are more colourful than the females. Now earlier I said 400 on the teeth question. I meant to say 4,000, but I'm going to blame it on the fact that I've fallen out of a car this week and that my brain is a bit mushy and scrambled. I feel like it's a good excuse to have, even though in my mind I thought I said 4,000, but apparently I said 400 for the crocodile's teeth. Fergus also tells me now while we've been sitting here that he just meant the bottom jaw, so he was right apparently. 39 teeth would make 78, eh Fergus, is that right? Yes, 78. Fergus would, according to him, if he had both top and bottom jaw. I'm not sure why you would only count one jaw, because when you count the number of teeth in a mouth it's both top and bottom. I think Fergus trying to pull a fast one. Now Nikki Orson's also jumping onto this bandwagon. It's no good, you lot.
Specify.
No, I'm not. There's nothing about specifying. When you ask how many teeth in a mouth, you don't talk about just one jaw. Right. Now this is our little painted snipe here, and I was saying that the females are far prettier than the males. This is the female on top. You see that chestnut head that she's got, the white eye stripe, long beak that comes down in these white sort of tummy area and around the wing, whereas the male, well, he's got a little bit of gold on him over here. So you see a little bit of gold patches and cream coming down, white there, and no chestnut head. So the female is far prettier than the male. But a nice bird to see, not a common bird for us at all. It's been rooting around actually in this muddy section just to my right, and what I want to do is I actually want to see the tracks for this, because I've never seen the tracks for a greater painted snipe. So I want to just pull forward a little bit and just check what the tracks look like, so if I ever see it in the mud again, that I roughly know the size and shape of these, because when we're doing these tracking things, sometimes it's good to know different birds, which is very cool. So I know our painted snipe will probably move a little bit, but let's just try. So here on my right hand side, Fergus, if you can just point in here, you can see that there are a number of tracks going up and down all over the place. So those are not for the painted snipe, those are a little bit big, but just to the right here, Ferg, coming up and down there, that's the painted snipe. Look like spiders running around there as well, but those are the tracks for our painted snipe. So it's nice to see, and you can actually see every now and then little beak poke marks within the mud where it was picking up some of these little things. So I can at least see the track now and know what I'm looking at, and know it's a fairly kind of small size with the back and front toes. Well, there's a back foot and then toe, and then 3 toes coming forward. So very cool to see. Right, let's see if I can find this little bittern type creature. Could be a squacko heron as well, so I'm going to try and see if I can find it. Hopefully I won't chase this little snipe, because I want it to stay here. Come on, little snipe, scuttle around the waterhole. There we go, good snipe. Well done. Oh, sorry Fergus, we're slipping in a little bit. There's a bit of erosion here from rain, which I didn't expect. Now we're going to try and sneak our way through here and under here. Let's try and get in. There we go. Very nice. Now it's going to be all very thick and very dense and very bushy and pretty inside here. This is one of my favorite areas. No, don't hook on the car. Come on. Sorry, I've got to try and get around a certain branch. No, really? this is not working as I hoped for. So there's a branch here that is just sticking in onto Rusty's grill. So I'm trying to get around, and I need to actually move it, otherwise I won't make it through. There we go, that's better. So let's slowly go through. Are we good there, Fergus? We're good. Yes, everyone, we're still with us. We still all have all of you present and accounted for. That's good news. Right, so slowly but surely we just get edging our way forward. Now, when we come through this section, it's always good to have a look around, because this is leopard central at times. So sometimes you've just got to have a little look and you've got to see what's going on. Oh, there's a Deidre cuckoo here as well somewhere. That's also calling. Lots of bird life in the back in this little area. I saw a greenbacked heron fly off just now. What else can we find? Come, Fergus, let's find interesting things. I feel like there's going to be a leopard on our horizon somewhere here. It's quite a deep little rut that we've got to go through. Let's hope we don't get stuck inside here. Come on. Ah, no, we're all good, we're all good. I think we're all good. Come on, Rusty. There we go. Nothing like a little mud on the old legs to try and kind of complete a safari. It's not a safari without mud. I think that's what Taylor says. I'm not sure. Maybe. But here we go. You can see absolutely beautiful in here, isn't it? It's a really stunning place to kind of come and have a little look around and check what's going on. Lots of big trees. Very, very, very pleasant indeed. Now, this is where I think that little... Oh, there's our snipe again. It's just come out on this side. Sorry, little sniper, are we progressing with you wherever you go? I apologize, we won't chase you anymore, I promise. Let's see if our night herons are about. Oh, there's our night heron, it's on top. Now down a little bit for me, Ferg. So there's our black crown night heron as well. Now, James, you think, does the male snipe raise the chicks rather than the female, and that's why he's less coloured than she is, and why he's able to camouflage a little bit more? Possibly, I don't know. I don't know much about snipes. They're quite secretive little birds, and we don't see much around you. I'll go and research it and try and give you a better answer than what I'm going to try and have a look in my book quickly and just see. Maybe it gives me some indication of why that is. Let's have a look. I don't think so, though. I've never read it that it's the case. Apparently the female is the dominant sex and is more strikingly marked and with a rich chestnut neck and breast. Yes, we know that. That's it. It just says that it's more dominant. So maybe that's why it's more colourful, is because it's slightly bigger and larger and dominates the male a little bit. I think that's probably the reason why. Interesting. But maybe that's the male does do a lot of brooding work, and hence him being a bit more camouflage. Now, this black crown night heron is beautiful. I mean, it's a bird that once they're here, we can see them quite often. I was super excited to see this a few months ago when we first spotted them here, and I believe there is a pair of them in this section. So there's not just the one that we're seeing through the bushes there. There is two of them, and they are amazing birds. They've got those big eyes with that little white crest that comes off the back, and you can see the eye color itself is actually a cherry red color. It's very pretty to see. So nice to have these birds around as much as they are around at the moment and behind the dam wall, and so we're very fortunate that we get to see them as much as we do. So very, very, very cool. Now, I don't know where that other bird is that I saw that flew in this direction, and definitely went sweeping across the dam. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I said a squawker heron or maybe a bittern, I'll show you quickly what I mean. So here we go. While our night heron disappears into the thicket and tries to go away from us. So we've got two kind of birds that it could be. Either this one here, this squawker heron that you see like this. The reason why I don't think it's the squawker heron, sorry Fergus, my book's a bit tilted, is this bottom bird over here. So the reason why I don't think it's a squawker heron is because if you see the squawker heron, you see on its body here, you get this very white wing that shows up when it flies. Now, I didn't see that white when the bird flew. It more had a sort of stripy head like this, this. And what looks like that is the bird that I'm going to turn over to and show you over here, which is this little bittern over here. So these little bittern do have that, and you do see them in this area, and so it might have been that individual over there. I'm not 100% sure, difficult to say, but I'm going to try and look around in here and just double check. It could be either one of those two. They both occur in these areas, so we'll try and find both of them now and try and see if we can get them. The other problem with being down here now in summer is that the mosquitoes eat you alive. I don't know about you, Fergus, but I'm being attacked by mosquitoes, so let's get forward a little bit and out of the swamp and try and stay away from the mozzies, and so that I don't lose about 20 liters of blood. Right, as I check all of these little trees as I'm going out here, let's go back across to Scotty and see what he's up to and whether he's got an update on to where Tundi is gone.
Still no updates on Tundi. Sorry to hear poor old Tristan's being attacked by mosquitoes. I think he's quite a tasty individual, because I've noticed in camp as well he seems to get harassed more than others, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have also noticed that some people are just more tasty to insects than others. You know, it's just one of those things. So we're just carrying along, bimbling about, waving at people, enjoying a drink, you know, the usual safari stuff. And it's turning into a beautiful evening. What I'm planning to do to try and compete with all of Tristan's brilliance late this evening is head up towards Quarantine in the hope that we're going to be able to get you guys some great silhouette shots. Now, Quarantine's an area, big open ring, quite a bizarre name actually, but it was an area where animals being reintroduced into this area were kept in quarantine. I think that's how the story goes. And it provides us with one area where we can hopefully get you some silhouetted sunset shots, provided those clouds out to the west don't gobble up the sun. So those are our plans. I just thought I'd swing past Treehouse Waterhole in the hope that we would find Shadow, another female leopard who was lingering through this area this morning. Her tracks actually came down this road this morning, past the Waterhole and then south out of our property. But she tends to be moving quite a bit at the moment. She's got quite a large sub-adult cub that's a girl that's approaching about a year of age. And Shadow will have to be doing the majority of all the hunting for her daughter at the moment. She's got quite a big belly and is probably not too much smaller than Shadow herself. I've never actually seen the two together, but that's who I swung past here in the hope of finding, but we found some people enjoying a sundowner instead, which was a pleasant surprise. You don't see many people out here. Rachel Odendahl, you've just asked on YouTube, how do you ask questions? Well, you've just asked your first question. Just pop them in that box and we will get back to you. That simple. Wonderful to have you with us. Another way of going about things, Rachel, is you can hashtag questions, and if we also do Facebook broadcasts, which we do from time to time, usually outside of the drives, they're called action broadcasts, then you can just pop your questions in the comment box below. And it's not only questions, but if you would like to just, you know, put any thoughts, comments, not necessarily questions, you can pop anything in those boxes, and then we've got a few people feeding through or filtering through all of that, and hopefully, I mean, they try and get through as many questions, comments and thoughts as they can. And I'm told you should also at FC Nix in order on YouTube. So if you put at FC whilst popping the messages on the YouTube chat, it will just help your message pop out to the final control. That's what FC stands for, as opposed to just bantering amongst other safarians. So that's that, Rachel. It's great to have you on board with us on these live safaris. I was just picking up a little piece of litter that I'm sure somebody mistakenly dropped off the vehicle or bounced out the vehicle while they were racing after wild dogs or who knows what. So I'm guessing, Rachel, you must have just stumbled upon us. just like we've stumbled upon this herd of elephants. So, tell us about it. How
Now, unfortunately, Scotty seems to have found himself some gremlins. He might not have found Shadow, but he found a gremlin somewhere, so that's why we've lost reception with him. Anyway, we're going to leave Chitwa now. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my bird that I was looking for. I've scanned all around, used some binoculars to check, and no luck so far. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this northern road that runs parallel with Gowrie Main in case Hosanna is around, because I believe he's not there where that kill is with the male lion and Tingana, and so maybe Hosanna's come down to Chitwa. So I want to just scan around. It's now that time of day where leopards will start moving, so it's worth checking around and just seeing what's happening, and maybe I get lucky with Hosanna bumping into him somewhere here, and then we'll try and head past that kill area and see if there's any sign of Tingana or anything else, and then move forward. Now, Fergus, have you spotted something? Oh, an elephant. Yes, that's very nice. I didn't see that rather large beast until you pointed it out. I'm sure this is our same Ellie bull that was drinking earlier, and while from far away he looked quite small, when you get close like this, he's going to be absolutely massive. Chris Reg, you're wondering what the crew is doing for Christmas. Well, Fergus is playing his guitar, and he's going to be doing a little dance, which we'll have to get him to do before Christmas Day, aren't you, Fergus? Every day, exactly. So Fergus will have to do that. No, the crew is probably going to be fairly busy with all things Christmassy. I heard them planning Christmas lunch. Some of the ladies in production team were planning. But apparently it's going to be fun, and they're going to do that, and then they're doing a picnic on Christmas Eve that they want to try and maybe do in the Mulawati, and so go into the riverbed between drives and have a little picnic and enjoy that. And so that's the kind of plans, I think, from their side. I'm not sure what else. Nikki, is there anything else that's been planned? I haven't been involved in the planning process too much. I've just been kind of leaving it up to the ladies, so I don't know. Figures anything else? Also, I believe that there will be some Christmas decorations on some of the vehicles, which I look forward to seeing. Hopefully they will look quite nice. I think they will. I think it's obviously a situation where we will see some very pretty Christmas vehicles. Wouldn't it be I think one day we should, on Christmas, one day have a red Santa sleigh vehicle. So instead of being green, we should paint one of them red and drive around in... who would you think? Rusty, Jigger, or Wendy? Which one suits being red?
It's going to be Father Christmas.
Who do I think is going to be Father Christmas? Oh, I don't know. Father Christmas is a tough one as well, but I think definitely we should have a sleigh for Christmas one year, and so for the whole month of December, one of the vehicles should be red, and I think it will be very jolly. I think we'd have a lot of fun, although I'm not sure the animals would like it, but I think it would just be jolly nonetheless. And instead of black trimmings on all the bars, we can have white trimmings, so it will be red and white, and then we'll have to dress one of us up as a Santa. I think Brent would make a good Santa. He's definitely loud enough to be Santa. What do you think? Yep.
Starting to get more and more like Santa every day.
So Fergus says he's starting to get more and more like Santa every single day. And Fergus, are you referring to his middle, or are you referring to him going grey? Which one is it?
Oh, it's just his jolliness.
Oh, his jolliness. His jolliness. Okay, yes. He is a jolly fella indeed. So... Right, now while I watch our big Ellie bull, who's in raging full must, so we're not going to push too much closer than where we are now. I believe Scotty's one-upped us and has beautiful Ellies in the dying sunlight.
Yes, look at this wonderful scene as these elephants head off towards the setting sun, creating some quite dramatic scenes. Look at that one in the front there with her dust that she's blowing up. She's been doing that quite a bit, and I hope here she goes again, it looks like. I know that was a mouthful of food. She's doing a bit of health spa and a bit of food spa, mixing it up. And this is quite an interesting little herd of elephants. There's just 3 of them, and even before I left the sands nearly 2 years ago, we also had a herd of 3, just like this, a mother with 2 of her youngsters. And I wonder if there's any chance that it is the same herd. I remember the most crazy period. It was like a 2-week period where the smallest one, which is the one we're looking at now, oh no, she had a short trunk. How could I have got that wrong? Forgive me, everyone. The mother had a very distinctive short trunk, so it's definitely not these 3. But a funny story about that was that I think it was actually the middle one. Like you can see now, that middle one was investigating the mom's mammary glands. And, of course, just like all animals, they get to a point in time where they need to be weaned off milk. And every time the youngster would walk up to its mom begging for milk, its mom would say no, and the youngster would let off this almighty shriek. And we just heard this shriek every kind of 20 minutes or so for a 2 or 3 week period. From it doesn't matter where you were in Djuma, you would hear this almighty screech as this youngster was weaned off her milk. Seems like they're really enjoying the dust bathing. I don't understand exactly how it can help that much, covering a fine or throwing a fine layer of dust over you, but it obviously does have some soothing effects. I guess it's similar to watching birds dust bathe. You can only wonder how that actually helps them. What I'm thinking of doing is repositioning, getting the sun a little bit more dead on between us and her. I don't know if that's worked too well. Sunlight was going to be breaking its way through the trees, but it appears no luck. Hello, Caitlin. You would like to know, what role do rhinos play in the African ecosystem? Because they're not necessarily prey animals, so nothing's going to really be feeding on them that much. The elephants are quite similar, Caitlin. The elephants and rhino, both black and white, fall into a similar category, as well as hippopotamus. They're very large animals that very seldomly get fed on by predators, but they do eventually die, and when they do eventually die, they feed a whole host of predators. Often lion, leopard, and hyena will all be able to cash in on these large kills. They all kind of just take turns and pop in to this massive buffet, so they will be eaten at some point in time by the predators. So they do form a food source, albeit not a common food source or one that is actually necessarily hunted, but they could just die of natural causes. And then also, importantly, they help landscape the vegetation. They manicure the gardens. As you can see, these elephants right now, they are busy doing their landscaping. They're landscape engineers. So without these mega herbivores like the rhinos and the elephants, there would possibly be too much vegetation, too thick a grass in some areas, and yeah, they definitely play their role not only in feeding the predators at some point, but also in maintaining the right balance of vegetation. Work things out for you as to how they fit into the equation. Now we do have 10 minutes left, and I'm not too sure what Tristan's up to, but I'm tempted in trying to rush you up to quarantine. The clearings I was talking about earlier, because they are elevated, and I think we're going to have quite a moody sunset. Even though there's quite a few clouds out in that direction, sometimes the clouds are what actually makes it magical. Well, most of the time you need some clouds in the sunset, otherwise it's just a blank canvas. So we will be there in a few minutes. And I would chat with Tristan to find out where he was, but he's probably going to be on another radio channel. Let me try it. Well, there's not really actually any point, so we'll just continue on our mission to the clearings to try and get you a elevated sunset view. Two young waterbuck, sorry, they're going for the sunset. Very good. While we rush along to try and get you some beautiful views, we are going to send you back to Tristan, who I think is possibly still with that same elephant bull.
I am indeed. He's a gentle giant. Even though he's in full raging must, he has not given us one little bit of nonsense. So it's been wonderful just to follow him up the road. Open clearing, and where he'll hopefully get some nice golden light. Well, he already has golden light on him, but when he's out in the clear, it is very pretty. And I can tell you that he is not a small elephant. When he came past us just now on the road, he is large. He's got a big, an impressive specimen, and one that I'm quite delighted to be able to spend time with. Fergus, I think let's just go around quickly, because otherwise we're not going to see too much of him when he walks forward. I just want to quickly get around that area. Let's try and just go straight up here. Just going to try and just go a little further this way. He's just feeding slowly northwards up this cut line, so I want to try and just get a little closer to the cut line itself. Chris, you're wondering when a young elephant will get its tusks. Well, most of the young ellies will get their tusks at around 4 years old. That's when the tusks start to appear for the very first time. So at around 4 years old. Fergus, how are we doing there? Telephone line is not the right word, it's the power line that's in the background, so I do apologize about that. But 4 years old is roughly when they get their teeth. They end up in a situation where, as they the tusks growing, it's got to still fill that void between the sort of cheekbones and then down actually towards where the tusk would come out. So that takes a bit of time, and then they start to appear, and then they grow throughout their life. So it takes quite a long time to get big bulky tusks like that. This elephant, I would say, is easily late 30s. He's quite a big individual. So Sherry, you're wondering how old he is? He's about, I'd say, late 30s is probably about where I would put him. He's a big adult male elephant. His tusks are beautiful and big and thick, and they have broken a little bit and have sort of rounded off and become nice and smooth. So I think he's a bull that's had those. Be okay when he comes along this way. We'll just have to be nice and quiet as does, because he's dribbling heavily at the back, and that's how we know that he's in must. So you can see that inside there, you see that dribbling, and it is very foul smelling, and that's an indication that he is in must at the moment. So sometimes when they're like this, they're just an oversupply of testosterone. They can be good at this stage. Now, I think it was Matt, you were wondering how old the elephants get in this area. Well, they normally, on average, about 55 years. And the reason is because of the amount of teeth that they've got. They only get 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime. Oh, look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. And that golden light. There is something special about being with a bull elephant. Now, Ferg, if I can ask you to come out so you guys can just get an idea of just how large this elephant is. If we look at the bonnet just in front, I don't know if you'll be able to get it, Ferg, but there's the car, and so you can see the top of my head sticks out the car, and if I stood up, I would probably be just to the top of his ear, or the bottom of his ear, so I'd be somewhere around there. If I stood up, that would be my height in comparison to that, and I'm 6'2", so you'd probably be able to put two of me on top of each other to be able to get to that point on top. So he is massive, but he is absolutely beautiful, and you can see he's so relaxed. How cool is that? This is very, very, very cool. Absolutely amazing. He is a massive Ellie bull. but he's not in any way worried about us. And the good thing when you're sitting with a bull elephant like this is, one, is just to tone your voice down a bit. You don't want to make yourself in any way a threat to him. The second thing is, as long as he's feeding the way that he is, you don't have to worry at all. He seems to be very comfortable. He's also chosen to move in this area. The odd little ear flap like that is all just to try and cool his body down and try and make him as cool as possible. So it's a situation where he's not getting upset with me. If he was upset with me, his ears would be out, his head would be raised, like what we saw from that female yesterday. What he's doing is just trying to keep that body temperature down in this late afternoon heat. Being a big animal like that, he would have been he'd be getting quite warm, and so he needs to just flap every now and then to be able to cool it down. I wonder if he's going to move this tree out the way. There's a fallen over tree that he's busy feeding around, and sometimes what you do is you'll see that they just pick it up and throw it as they try and feed off all the different plants. And I'm trying to see what he's actually feeding on at the moment. It almost looks a bit like Waltheria that he's feeding on, or it could be a butylon. I think it looks a bit like a butylon, so it's probably what he's going after, but whatever it is he's thoroughly enjoying it, and that's what he's picking as he goes along. But his course that he's taking him is really right in front of us, and we are so fortunate to be this close to one of Africa's giants. There we go, he's moving the tree. See what I was saying, how they just pick it up and throw it out the way? How cool is that? Very cool. So at the moment, even though he's a sort of big animal, and that tree is really like a little toothpick for him to lift. Rachel, you've just joined us this afternoon, and you're wondering what water is on his face. So that's not water. That is a secretion from a gland that is between the eyes and the ear called the temporal gland. The temple is very close, and so that gland secretes when an animal when an elephant is showing any signs of emotion. So when it's content, when it's stressed, when it's kind of feels like there's something going on, then they secrete from there. But in bull elephants like this one, he's in must, and so he's got those massive kind of streaming to show that he's in a sexually mature position. But he is right over us at the moment. Now we're just going to let him just kind of feed past us. This is as close as you could ever want to be. There's the front of the car. So he is a massive bull towering over us, and he's just being an absolute gentleman. And I can't tell you how special a feeling it is to be sitting here underneath the gaze of such a perfect animal. That is one of the best experiences you could ever have, when a bull elephant sits like that and just kind of sizes you up and gently then walks past. Right. Sunlight, and say goodbye to all of you.
Well, it sounds like you guys finished off on a high with Tristan and that beautiful elephant bull. There wasn't. The clouds gobbled up the sun as I thought it may. Still a beautiful scene, beautiful colors with a few marula tree branches falling into the screen, and a nice peaceful way to end off what has been, I think, a great afternoon safari. Well done to everyone involved. I know that you guys started off the safari all the way up in the Masai Mara with Taylor and Ralph, and it sounds like they did a great job. And also well done to all the tech team and the final control, Faith and Nikki, the two directors from today, and Senzo on camera. See you next time.